September 5th, 2005, Labor Day weekend. We here at On the Spot Studio. To my right, I got my guest. You know who he is. He's from CNN, Black Enterprise. He's on TV twice a week. Ryan Mack.
Great to have me out here, brother. Thank you.
Great to have you here, brother, for this weekend.
Yeah, man.
We got a lot to talk about, brother. I've been down to get you here for this, talk about finances in our community. But I've been also, it's very important for people to know Ryan does finances from Optimum Capital, but he's versed in everything. His political game is real tight. His finance game is excellent for a young brother. It's always good to see a young brother out here can explain finances. One of the tips, I don't know, I hope I don't go around too many circles here, but first thing, I was out on a business trip the other day, and I caught a tip from you off of Facebook.
Okay.
It got a lot of response off of there too, and I was watching it, showing it to my people and everybody. Yo, listen to this.
Which one was that?
Oh, I think the kids. You said something about the kids that save money.
Yep.
Tell our parents. I know they would love to hear this here.
Well, essentially, I mean, we give tips at least twice a day on Facebook. We try to give financial tips. Well, once a day, depending upon my schedule. But this particular tip was, and if correct me if I'm wrong, but it's essentially every child needs to be taught about how to learn how to save from early on. So as young as 3 years old, or as soon as they're able to talk, actually, you can begin to communicate and educate your children how to spend money. And if you are one of those fortunate children that gets an allowance, I wasn't definitely one of those children growing up, but if you do have an allowance, you don't want to just give your children money. You want to make sure you give them money in such a way where you give them 3 boxes: one to save, one to spend, and one to give. And you label the boxes clearly. The allowance is, $5 a week or something like that.
Depending upon the age.
Yeah, depending upon the age. Even if it's 4 years old, you give them $1. Talk them through what they're going to do with that $1. Talk them through the value of putting that money to the spend. Talk them through the value of putting that money into the give box. I think that learning how to give from an early age as possible is one of the most crucial things that we can do to teach our children. And with those gradual conversations, when you're taking that give box or the saving box to the bank, and you put in that bank, you open up their first bank account, then you can have another conversation about the value of interest and the value of saving money, and there can be a lot of great conversations that you can have early on.
So tell them about that box on Facebook. I looked at that, and I don't always answer. I only answer certain things on Facebook, even though I want everybody to know I've created my own Facebook, which is OTS Lounge, and I hope it can jump off just the same. But tell them what the 3 boxes represent.
Yeah, well, one is to save, and that is essentially money that you want to, if you give your child $5, have a conversation. How much of this $5 are you going to save? How much are you going to put into the bank? And obviously they'll be in the house, so you might put $1 of that $5, and that will accumulate over time, and every once in a while, once a month or once every other month, you take that save box to the bank and you deposit it.
Okay, so you got a save box is the first one.
Yeah, the save box. Then you have the spend box. Have a conversation. How much of this $5 are you going to spend? And that's when you start discussing, is it $2? Is it $1? And then they put that box in there. That's pretty much burn money. They can do whatever they want with that box.
Okay.
And then how much of this money, this $5, are you going to give? And again, have a tangible conversation with your child about the value of giving, the value of benevolence. I think it's one of the biggest wealth building principles that, when you're walking down the street and someone asks you for $1, if you're one of those individuals that clamps their $1 as if you don't have that earning potential to earn it back again, what does that say about your confidence in yourself? What does that say about your ability and your thoughts about yourself to generate income, that to think of, if I give this $1 up, I'm never going to be able to earn it back again. So it's a wealth building principle to teach how to give.
Okay.
And have tangible conversation with that. And every time you give any money, you make sure you're discussing and you're talking and you're open about it, so your child is going to gradually start to develop concepts of wealth, even from a young age. Okay,
so that was the tip for the other day.
Yeah.
Give us the tip you would give for today that you would have for your Facebook audience. What tip would that be?
Well, I mean, I hadn't even thought about it yet today. I've been ripping and running all day today, but usually it goes over anything I usually feel. Today's Saturday. I guess I can give another one later on about how to teach your children about the sense of debt. And something to the effect of what I might want to say is, as young as 5 years old, you can teach your child about debt by, instead of buying him a toy, you buy him a toy and make them sign an IOU. And if the toy costs $50 at Toys R Us, or $30, and say it costs $50 at Toys R Us, you have them fill out this IOU, and the child's only 5 years old, so what you do is start having them pay off this IOU of $50.
And how would you project a little 5-year-old to do that?
Well, then, what you do is you say, if you help me with the dishes, it costs you $1. If you clean up your room, it'll help you for maybe $1 worth of work. If you help me push the vacuum cleaner and help with the chores around the house, if you keep your room clean or pick up after yourself, I'll credit you $2. And over time, by doing things that have that incentive to do positive things around the house, your child begins to learn about the value of actually earning certain things as opposed to being given certain things. And then when he's actually earned enough credits or work credits to earn off $50 worth of work, then you have a debt burning party where you actually go, maybe take him out to Baskin Robbins and celebrate, or you take a lighter and burn up the IOU to give him a sense that you have earned, and now you are off of you are off of this line of credit that you had owed me before, and you're now free, and you're free from this debt. And you give them, as young as 5 years old, you can have a sense of debt within your child.
I like that, brother. That comes under money management. Okay, so that's starting a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
What happened when you got 14 and 15-year-olds, and when we start moving up into that age group, what do you suggest?
I got my first job when I was 12.
Okay.
We didn't have a whole lot of money growing up, so I had to actually help to contribute in certain areas.
In Detroit?
Yeah,
okay.
In Detroit. So
that's where the accent from, is Detroit.
So when I was 12 years old, I remember I was the caddy, and I earned my first $100. I got about $97 in cash, and I went and I tried to find a whole lot of pennies, nickels, and dimes just to try to get that extra $3 so I could have $100. I'm 12 years old, and I never had $100 of my own money. And what I did, I learned a valuable lesson from it. Was I went to Baker Square. I bought a couple lemon supreme pies. I used to love pie. I went to McDonald's. I went to 8 Mile in Livernois, where I grew up. And it was a little side vendor, and I bought 2 of the ugliest sweatsuits and short sets you'd ever seen in your life. And next thing you know, all my money was gone, and I had nothing to show for it. And at that point in time, my mother had a real candid conversation with me about, now, you spent your money, you have nothing to show for it but 2 ugly short sets and a upset stomach because you ate all that lemon supreme pie by yourself and didn't share any of it. But now, what are you going to do next time? So at that point in time, I realized, I said, well, you know what, maybe I better start being a little bit more wise. And that's when I first learned about the concept of saving and about the value of $1. But I mean, these are simple principles that all she really did, and at that point was really just have a conversation with me that kind of just made me trigger a light bulb that maybe I better not be so irresponsible.
So these are principles you can follow no matter what age,
no matter
income
what
group. No matter what income group you're in.
It doesn't matter what, my contention is, again, we didn't have a whole lot of resources growing up, but the less resources you have, the more you need to be fiscally responsible.
Okay.
You cannot, there's a lot of misconceptions about individuals that only the rich need these principles, but when you're on subsidized living, it doesn't matter. Public housing, I'm familiar with the cheese that doesn't melt in the oven and the whole works, but the less resources you have, the more you need to be diligent about where each one of your dollars is going. So it really is no excuses for someone to be fiscally irresponsible.